Hi, I'm Curtis McDaniel, and this is a quick demo for the HannahBlend appliance. Now, this is the HannahBlend appliance is a home oil infusion appliance. Now, there are two processes, two parts to the process of infusing a cannabis oil at home. First part is the roast portion. That's the decarboxylation process. Roast. The second part of the process is the actual infusion, where we take the cannabinoids from the raw flower of the plant and transfer them into our oil. And there's a process that the HannahBlend appliance incorporates. Now, okay, I'm going to go through the motions real quick. This is the appliance. There are two carafes, canisters. You can see this is a dry canister, and this is a wet canister. This is where the oil goes. This is for step one of the process, which is the roast portion. So what I would do, I would take my cannabis and I would put it inside this canister. I'm going to place it on here. And I would set, so again, there's two parts of this thing. The first thing that's going to happen when I push, it's going to be hard for you to read right here, but it's going to say roast or infuse. And I'm going to set which process I want to incorporate, which is the roast. I'm going to push that button, and there's two options after that, which is the time and the temperature. I would set those, and those are user defined. They could be whatever the user wants it to be. We would recommend 100 degrees at for 20 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever may be most appropriate. Similar to an oven. You're the chef. You get to decide how you want to roast your cannabis. So I set it up. I'm going to set it for 100 degrees, 18 minutes. I'm going to push the button and I'm going to let it run through its cycle. Once it runs through its cycle, I'm going to be finished with the decarboxylation, the roast process of the oil infusion. Now, and this is just a hot plate, basically a controlled temperature hot plate. Okay, so now I have my cannabis in here. What I would do from there, I'm going to, okay, let's go back to here. Again, we have the two options, roast or infuse. I'm going to go to the the infuse portion. Now, one of the first things that it's going to ask me to do is for some user input. It's going to ask me, what is the percentage of the THC and what is the percentage of CBD? I'm going to enter that information in here, and once I put it in, it's locked in. After that, it's going to ask me to weigh the cannabis, right? It's going to walk me through a whole structure. What's the CBD? What's the THC? Now it's going to ask me for the weight. Right now it thinks that there's 1 gram. I'd have to tare it, but right now it thinks that there's 1 gram of cannabis. 11 thinks there's 11 grams of cannabis on here. Now you can't see it, or maybe it's right. What it says right here, these orange numbers, it tells me the absolute value of CBD and THC in absolute milligrams. So right now it says that there's 1,100 milligrams of CBD and 1,100 milligrams of THC. Remember, we set this to 10% THC and 10% CBD for ease of calculation, so we can do it. If I have 11 grams here, I know that I have 1,100 milligrams of cannabinoid, THC or CBD. Okay, so now this is locked into my machine. So the next step, what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to go to the oil. I've got to add the oil into my for my oil infusion into this wet canister, right into the infusion canister. So one of the and you can right here, the orange numbers is maybe a little tricky to see them, but right here I know how many milligrams, absolute milligrams are in here, but if I add oil, I'm going to just be basically doing a ratio. I know how many milligrams of cannabinoid. But now I've got to figure out how many I've got to decide how many milliliters of oil I'm going to put into this thing. So right now it's defaulted to 50 milliliters. So if I had 50 milliliters in here, it's going to tell me that I've got 23 milligrams per milliliter. And if I turned it up, if I went to 100 milliliters, it's going to tell me I have 11 milligrams per milliliter. If I went to 80, so this is basically, I'm just scrolling through and it's doing the calculations for me. So now if I had, what do we have? Let's turn it up, 120 milliliters, that's 4 ounces, right, 120, yeah, 120 milliliters. It's going to tell me that I'm going to have 9.6 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to say 120 milliliters, right? So what I would do, okay, so this is everything that comprises the oil infusion port canister. I've got a rotor. This is what's going to do the actual agitation. Embedded in the heat plate is an array of coils that get magnetically energized, right, in a circular motion. And on the bottom of this is an array of magnets. You can see this would be embedded in a thermoplastic. Now, so when I turn this on, it's going to spin. And what this will do, every several minutes, it'll pulse for 20 seconds or however we set it. So, and that will be just by default. Okay, step 1, I'm going to drop my rotor in here. Step 2, I'm going to put I have a filter in here. This goes in here. I'm going to put my cannabis in here. Step 3, I have, this is just water, but for a demo, we're going to assume this is oil. The most common way of infusing oil is with MCT oil. It can be done with olive oil, but we find MCT to work best. So we're going to pour this in here like that. So now, this is where I'm combining my cannabis and my oil. I'm going to put the lid on top of this guy, and I'm going to set it on here. Okay, all the settings are ready. The next setting that it's going to ask me to do, I don't know if you probably can't see it, but it's going to ask me for time and temperature. Very similar to the roast portion of the process. So I'm going to enter right in. Let's see what I'm going to set it to. Let's see, the time going to be, let's say this is 2 hours and 50 minutes. Right. I could set it through here, or I could set it through these buttons right here. 2 hours and 50 minutes, and I'm going to set it at 86 degrees, 80. Let's set it to, how about 72 degrees Celsius? Okay, I'm gonna. That's it. It's at 75% speed. Okay, I'm ready to click the green button right here. I'm going to click the green button, and it's going to start. You can see this is the timer, right? 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's going to run. I'm going to set up. There, I can hear it. So what's happening, the rotor is being energized, and it's spinning. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's just going to pulse. Right? We don't want it to be cranking away. It's just going to pulse and agitate the cannabinoid into the oil. Okay, let's assume 2 hours and 50 minutes have transpired. Let's end that. Okay, this is over. Now, I'm going to take this over to, right, this is a kitchen appliance. I'm going to take this over to my sink, and I'm going to take the cannabis out. Right, this is it. Now, we're finished with this. Right, now, I have an infused oil. The cannabis is removed out through a strainer. I'm going to pour it in here, right? This is my oil. All right, I'm going to have to take this back over to the sink. This is my rotor. I'm going to clean everything up right here, simple clean. And this is going to be my infused cannabis. And I have a way to be able to go back right now as we speak. It's Friday, approximately 10 a.m., whatever the date is. I think it's the 6th. I can go back. I have a history. What did I do? What kind of cannabis did I use? What was the percentage? How many milligrams per milliliter was the recipe that I made? Did it work? Did I like it? I can annotate all this information in the app. Maybe I can share it. And anyway, that's the purpose of the application, is to be able to recall, because if it's something that I made that worked for me, or my child, as the caregiver, the patient, I want to be able to repeat that. So, and that's the premise behind what we did, to be able to capture data, to be able to use data and capture to be able to quantify what we made. So that pretty much summarizes our appliance. I'll put everything back together again. Well, I'll go through it again. So we've got this goes in here. Here's my filter. I'll put the lid back on, and there we go. HANA Blend. Thanks for watching.